Martha Party in the early days made sure to monitor every time cops stop black people anywhere on the streets or in an alley. You should have your video camera going. You should have your camera taking pictures. You should have your tape recorder on. You should be armed with your tape recorder, your video camera. You should be armed with your still camera, with your movie camera. You should be, or whatever, the millimeters, I don't know all that stuff. You know what I'm talking about. What they call them, all them things that you take to home movies and stuff with. I guess I got a super ace all. I gotta learn the weapons. I gotta learn the weapons. You gotta be armed with all of that. But we also gotta arm ourselves with weapons. But I thought you were the Nation of Islam, and the Nation of Islam, well, I'd love to be with the Nation of Islam. But the Nation of Islam at this point apparently has no place for me and has pushed me out and has now put me off limits. I can't attend any mosque anywhere in the Nation of Islam. I'm not going to sit down in a corner and cry. I'm going to stand up and fight this peckerwood, fight this bastard as best I can. And I believe we must arm ourselves or harm ourselves. If we were all armed, we'd have a better community. There would be less rape in the black community. Ain't no damn fool gonna run up on a bunch of women knowing all of them packing. Any kind of heat in your pants behind your zipper is gonna get awfully cold when sister pull out a 9mm. Huh? Be less rape in the black community if all were armed. Our elders would be able to walk the streets and go cash their little checks. If you knew that Uncle Bubba, Aunt Chili Red, Big Mama, and Uncle Naps, Cutting Armor Jean, don't be acting like you out here in Queens and you ain't got nobody in your family with them names. Because you left the cornbread crumbs a trail on your way coming in here. Look, don't you know what nobody, or very few, would rob Big Mama? Or Cutting Armor Jean, trying to go cash her little check, if they knew that they had a piece, if they knew they had their gat with them? Huh? Don't you know that Malcolm would probably still be alive that Sunday, February 21st, 1965, if fools walked into that auditorium and knew that everybody in the auditorium was armed to the teeth? You don't walk in to take out the people's hero, and you know everybody in the damn audience is armed. Even the little old lady getting snuff in the audience got her pistol in her purse. The hell you gonna shoot Malcolm and make it out of the damn door? Queen Mother Moore tells the story of the days when she was with the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey. And they were at the ILA, the International Longshoremen's Association Hall in New Orleans, Louisiana. And they were trying to deport Mr. Garvey from the country. And they had told, the chief of police had told Mr. Garvey, had sent a decree out in an order that if Marcus Garvey spoke at the Longshoremen's Hall, he said, I'm going to run you in. I'm going to arrest you. And so Mr. Garvey showed up, and the members of UNIA showed up, and Queen Mother Moore and all the young girls were there. And you know Queen Mother could tell the story when she was telling the story. She's saying, honey, you know how she tell it, honey. She said the chief of police rolled up with police everywhere. And Mr. Garvey was there, ready to speak, and the chief of police stuck his finger in the air, and he said, if you say a word, Garvey, I'll run you in. And Queen Mother Moore saying, honey, we all stood up on the chairs. She said we reached under our dresses, and we reached in our bras, and we reached them. She said Colt 45s and Smith & Wessons and everything went in the air. And she said all you could hear was a choir or a chorus from the people saying, speak, Garvey, speak. And Mr. Garvey said it as I was saying. Garvey said it as I was saying. Some of you are foolish enough to say, well, no, what we need is books. Yes, we need books. We must study. We must study from our scholars. We must study from Dr. Ben. We must study from Dr. Clark. We must study from Dr. Maulana Karenga. We must study from Dr. Ivan Van Sertima, Dr. Sheikh Anta Diop, Dr. George G.M. James, Dr. Jeffries and Dr. Jeffries, and on and on. We must study all of them. But at the same time, we can't say I ain't gonna study war no more. You can't say that. You say, well, we don't need guns, we need books. Shut up, fool. The white man make all the guns. How we gonna go up against the white man? We can't compete with the white man with all the guns. Well, fool, he make all the books. How you gonna compete with him if he makes all the books? You willing to go that route? I was talking to his young Sunni Muslim brother at Mark 125 yesterday. He said, well, do you really think we still oppressed? In America, I'm not lying, as God is my witness, young brother, but he still has, he has a good chance, this young brother. He said, you think we still oppressed? And he went on to show me how things had changed and how we weren't oppressed anymore. He really believed that. And I told him, since I knew he was coming from Islam, I told him that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, that Prophet Muhammad said, you must stop the oppressor, stop the hand of the oppressor, physically stop him. The Holy Quran says, and fight with those who fight against you. That persecution and bloodshed, that persecution and the murder of your people is worse than bloodshed. Quran says better to go on and fight and shed some blood, but persecution and the shedding of blood and the slaughter of your people is not worse than dealing with your enemy and shedding your enemy's blood. Fight with those who fight against you. It says, and drive them out from where they drove you out. It says, and fight with them until there is no more war. Fight with them until there is no more bloodshed. I told him that Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam says, stop the hand of the oppressor. Physically, fight him. But Prophet Muhammad goes on to say, if you can't fight him physically and stop his hand physically, speak out against him. Strongly speak out against him. And if you can't stop him physically and stop the hand of the oppressor physically, if you can't speak out boldly and strongly against him, Prophet Muhammad says, then secretly protest in your heart. But secret protest in your heart is the poorest and the weakest form of protest, he said. He said, oh, see, I put his man on him. That's the way we got to be. We got to know all of the doctrines, all of the philosophy, all of the ideology, so we can go after our people and bridge the gap and pull them together and form an African united front or a black united front. But we got to know what they know and then some. So when I put Prophet Muhammad on him and told him that, you know, if you want to secretly protest in your heart, the Nabi or the prophet said that's the poorest form of protest. Then he's ready to talk. So the day he saw me, I was over there. He was very excited. He wanted another conversation. So I dropped a little something else on him, and he's a good little brother coming along. I'm almost there, if you would give me just a few more minutes. There would be less police brutality if the masses were armed. Mark Furman's would be hard to find. Mark Furman was not an exception to the rule. Mark Furman talked about the brotherhood of policemen, the fraternity of policemen. He said that the policeman is God. That's what he said. There's the devil saying that the policeman is God. He's judge, jury, and executor. Right on the spot. He talked about how he used to beat black men and women and Chicano brothers and sisters until he would just beat the waste out of them, beat the mess out of them. He said, then you could smell the niggas and I guess you call them the Mexicans or the Chicanos. You could spell them. I mean, you could smell them stinking. He said you couldn't get into the jail for the stench coming from them. They just beat them until they urinate on themselves, beat them until their bowels would waste all over. He said he'd grab them and just throw them down the steps, just throw them down. And another cracker down at the other end of the steps would catch him at the other end of the steps, kick him and beat him. No, you got to, I'm here to tell you that the only way you're going to stop police brutality is you got to stand up and be brutal with this damn beast. You got to step to this cracker or it will never stop. You can moan, you can groan, you can sing, you can pray, you can recite, you can claim you know all the Quran, Old Testament, all the Bible, Old Testament, New Testament, the Quran from Al-Fatiha to Al-Nas. You can know all the Medunata. You can know Mayat, truth, justice, righteousness, harmony, balance, order, reciprocity. You can name those of the Netter system. You can go and study the Urdu text and substantiate your position according to Urdu. You can study the Ifa, the word, or the Akan, or the Yoruba, and run through the pantheon of the Orisha. You can call on Olodumare. You can call on Ilegba and Shango and Obatula and Oshun and Ogun and Yemonya. You can know all of that. But unless you're willing to stand up and step to this white man, we will never get out of this condition. Frederick Douglass said the limits of a tyrant is prescribed by exactly how far you will let that tyrant go. He won't stop if you don't stop him. It's like any bully. The bully will keep picking on you until you get him to raise up off of you. But some of us will lose our lives. Tupac is gone already. Biggie is gone already. Many of us, Yusuf Hawkins is gone already. Many of us are already dead, and we're dying every day. And while we're here in Queens tonight, black men and women and young black boys are dying at the hands of some cracker somewhere in America right now. I would rather die for a cause than to die because. I get sick of these forums of you talking about what's done to us. The black man has to take a stand. We ain't gonna get out of this condition. The Bible says, arise, arise, awake ye men of Zion. Shake yourself from the dust. You used to rule the earth. Now we groveling at some cracker's feet. And if your brother stands up and speaks boldly and speaks of war with the enemy, you back off from him and run like a little sissy.